Hey guys, Slither Magic here, and it's finally time to look at the rest of the unstable spoilers. This better be the rest of them. First up, as luck would have it, it's hexproof, it costs 1, it's green, and it's rare. Whenever you roll a die, put a number of luck counters on as luck would have it equal to the result. Then if there are 100 or more luck counters on as luck would have it, you win the game. Oh my gosh. You guys, do you know what this card is? This is an improved version of Helix Pinnacle. Well, it's improved in that you win instantly, and it's unimproved in that you can't just pay mana, but, with some cards you can just pay mana to roll a die, so, hey. The only way you're going to win quickly with this card is with the Sword of Dungeons & Dragons, though, so, I don't know, I don't think you're going to get to 100, but it's a little bit of a threat, and they can't take it out, so, I don't know, would I really draft it and put it in a deck? I don't think I'd put it in a deck if I constructed it and could force die rolls. Next up, more discrimination from Wizards, Blurry Beeble. It's an artifact creature, cyborg Beeble, of course. And it's a blue artifact, which is kind of cool, love those. And it has Blurry. This creature can be blocked only if defending player was wearing glasses as it was cast. Which I don't, because I have perfect vision, and now Wizards is punishing me for it. Thanks, Wizards, that's nice. And whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card. Well, I'm bringing sunglasses to the draft. Next up, Border Guardian. Guarantee this is a Trump reference. Whenever you cast a silver bordered spell, put a 1/1 counter on Border Guardian. Oh, I get it, is the border of the card. Ha ha ha. Whenever you cast a black bordered spell, Border Guardian can't be blocked this turn, which there is a grand total of 1 in the entire set. Whenever you cast a white bordered spell, Border Guardian gains double strike until end of turn. Okay, this is clearly only for like future constructed and like commander and stuff. Don't draft this. Next up, to make those stupid hipsters feel better, box of free range goblins. Does cost 6 though. Roll a 6-sided die, create a number of 1/1 red goblin creature tokens equal to the result. Not bad actually. It's a pretty decent spell unless you roll a 1 or a 2 or a 3. Or a 4. Next up, Chipper Chopper. It's a flying 1/1 for 4. Oh boy, it's a rigor though. Whenever it enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice another artifact. If you do, put a 1/1 counter on Chipper Chopper, and it assembles a contraption. Kind of neat. I mean, you could get rid of a contraption you don't really like, but you could have just not drafted it in the first place or taken it out of your deck. There are like gnome tokens and stuff though, and that would be kind of worth it. So, it's only 1 damage in the air though. But he does get 2 counters, so he could be a 3/3. I mean, he'd almost have to be. So a 3/3 flyer for 4 that brings out a contraption. I mean, that's not bad. So if you know you have a target, it's not bad. Next up, the creepiest looking artwork I've seen on a card. Clever combo. What the heck? Anyway, search your library for a host card or a card with augment, reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle your library. So you get to hand pick it. You can go get the shark, which is the best augment in the game. So yeah, I would absolutely, without a doubt, put this in my deck. Oh, if I was playing hosts and augments, otherwise what's the point? Next up, Contraption Cannon. I already like the sound of this. It costs 4, you pay 2, sacrifice Contraption Cannon. It deals damage to target creature or player equal to the number of contraptions you control. This is classic. If you're already dominating the board state and already going to win even more. Cards like that just aren't very good. If you have like 9 contraptions, you don't need to hit the creature or player for 9. Trust me, you're going to win just with the 9 contraptions. And if you have 2, it's probably because you're losing the game. So this card just amplifies whatever is going to happen anyway. I mean, yeah, it speeds it up and it gives them 1 less turn to turn things around, but it costs 6. I don't like it. Next up, Cramped Bunker. At the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, that player moves a permanent he or she controls to touch Cramped Bunker and no other permanents. If he or she can't, destroy each permanent that player controls that isn't touching Cramped Bunker, then sacrifice it. Ooh, interesting. It might be hard to like tap them and keep them touching it, but it never said that they have to keep touching it. That's the problem. Next up, Defective Detective. Can't be blocked and it's a 2/1 for 3, so that's actually pretty good. And when it enters the battlefield, a person outside the game looks at target opponent's hand and chooses a card from it, and then reveals it, which is pointless and annoying. The 2 damage unblockable, though, that's 10 swings and they're dead. Maximum, so yeah. Next up, the legendary Everythingamajig. Not actually legendary. It is a rare, though, costs 5. So if you pay 2 and tap it, move a counter from one permanent onto another. If the second permanent refers to any kind of counter, the moved counter becomes one of those counters. Otherwise, it becomes a 1/1 counter. What? Basically, you can morph the type. I guess that's what they're saying. You could pay 3 and tap it, put a 1/1 counter on target creature, or pay 5 and proliferate, which is clone. Well, let me read it how they put it instead of how I put it. You choose any number of permanents and or players with counters on them, then give each another counter of a kind already there. That's really one of the most overpowered mechanics in all of Magic. This could be a long-term threat, but it's going to be so hard to get going because it costs 5 and then it eats up almost all of your mana, so I don't love it, but it can like give you a tactical advantage and dominate the board state just by itself by manipulating stuff. So I don't know. It's not bad, actually. I mean, proliferate every single turn would be pretty good. So if you have a really good rampy deck and a lot of spread out creatures, I guess maybe I would try and run this. I don't know. Next up, 5-finger discount. Oh my god, he's stealing a little Pomeranian. That's so cute. Does cost 6 and it's a sorcery. Guess what? Put target non-land permanent into your hand. Straight up. You may spend mana as though it were mana of any color the next time you cast that card. So, I mean, it does say non-land, so that's a shame. For 6 mana, give me the land. I mean, come on. Well, this is basically a really bad version of, like, any of Kefnet's spells, basically. I mean, Kefnet's last word, or final word, or whatever, that's rough, because you don't get your mana back. But, the 7 cost, I mean, it's basically this, but you don't have to cast it for 1 more mana. Still, if you've learned anything from my last 2 decks, taking a permanent from your opponent will win the game. So, absolutely run this if you think you can get to 6. Next up, Ground Pounder, classic. We got a 2/2 for 2. You can pay 4, roll a 6-sided die. Ground Pounder gets +X until end of turn, where X is the result. Not bad. Whenever you roll a 5 or higher on a die, like at all, ever, Ground Pounder gains trample until end of turn. This is just a good card. I mean, the fact that you can do this without tapping them and it's not sorcery speed, that's really good. Because after they declare blockers, then you can determine the random result. So they don't know how big it's going to be, which is hilarious. I would dare say this is one of the strongest commons in the entire set. So definitely grab this if you can. Next up, Hammer Helper. I think it's a play on Hamburger Helper. I don't know. Gain control of target creature until end of turn. Nice. Untap that creature and roll 6-sided die until end of turn. It gains haste and gains +X, where X is the result. Ooh, that's an improved version of pretty much every red spell that does that. That is crazy powerful. That could by itself win the game, so definitely run that. Next up, Hazmat Suit, in parentheses used. It's basically a Craigslist post. Costs 4 enchant creature. It's an aura. Enchanted creature gets +2/+1 and has menace, which is awesome. Whenever a player's skin or fingernail touches enchanted creature, that player loses 2 life. So, it does say a player, so I love mechanics that could backfire on you when you're the owner and controller of it. But +2 in menace ain't no joke, so I don't know. I mean, I don't think you can pick it up off the battlefield and just throw it at your opponent and be like, you touched it. The list of things I have to bring to play Unstable is getting ridiculous. I mean, now I gotta bring some kind of gloves or something. Whatever. Next up, Hoisted Hireling. It has flying as long as it's being held above the battlefield. So that's not legal, but whatever. You can just pick it up and hover it somewhere above the battlefield and be like, I'm attacking with it, and then tap it and keep holding it. Basically just bounce it on your hand and have your hand on the table, and it has flying. So honestly, a 2/1 for 3 with flying isn't that great. But 2 damage in the air, you know, there's very little flyers in this set. It might be worth it. I'm on the fence about this one. Next up, Inhumane AK. It's a 1/1 for 2, and it's a Brainiac, which I believe we have another one of those. At the beginning of your upkeep, roll a 6-sided die. Ooh, recurring die rolls. This is getting interesting. On a 3 or 4, put a +1/+1 counter on Inhumane AK. On a 5 or higher, put 2 counters on it. On a 1, remove all counters from it. Oh, that's ballsy. I like it. I would totally play this. I mean, it's no fretwork colony, but it's still pretty good. Next up, Joyride Rigger. Chitty chitty bang 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 bang. I'm not gonna read it. It's a 3/3 for 4. When Joyride Rigger enters battlefield, it assembles a contraption. Real simple. It's not the most stellar creature in the world, but if you throw out a contraption that can like boost it or something, hey, I mean, it only goes off once every 3 turns, but still not bad. Next up, Knight of the Kitchen Sink. That's got to be a reference to something. That sounds awfully familiar, but it's a double white, so watch out for that because that's really hard to cast. It is a 2/2, and it has first strike and protection from black borders. Honestly, a 2/2 first striker for 2 is not that bad. There's going to be one black border card in the game, and it's not that great. I mean, it's not bad, I guess. It's Steam Flogger Boss or whatever. If they somehow manage to enchant one of their lands, I guess that would be a black border, but I don't know. It's just not going to come up. Still, I'd play this. Next up, another knight, and of course we got the Don Quixote reference in the background. Knight of the widget's power and toughness are equal to the number of order of widget watermarks among permanents you control. Oh boy, and it also has vigilance. That could get out of control pretty quick. You'd almost be having to play like monocolor or something close to it. I haven't really studied the watermark versus color arrangement yet, but it's doable. I mean, especially late game, you could drop this out and it could be absolutely huge. So yeah, I'd take a shot at it. Speaking of taking a shot at it, low Blubber. That's right, it's Brain Gun. Equipped creature has tap. This creature deals 1 damage to target player. Roll a 6-sided die on a 5 or higher. Untap it. Ooh, then you can hit him again. Interesting. And it has equip 2. For equipment that doesn't technically do anything, and then you have to take the creature out of combat, this is pretty bad equipment. But I don't know. I mean, damage straight to the player, that's kind of what you're trying to do when you swing anyway, but it's only 1 damage. So this just, for the cost of the equip and the loss of the creature, it's just not good. Next up, Mad Science Fair Project. Roll a 6-sided die on a 3 or lower. Target player adds 1 colorless to his or her mana pool. Otherwise, that player adds 1 mana of any color he or she chooses to his or her mana pool. So you might get a color that you want, you might not. Why it says target player, I don't know. I guess multiplayer or something. Don't know why you'd really want to do that. It's weird though. I mean, it is like a 3-cost ramp, and that's right when you'd want to be getting into the 5, 6, 7 territory, I guess. So I'd probably put this in if I saw it, but it isn't a common. I mean, it is a common, but it wouldn't be like my first pick. Next up, Magic Word. Oh, this has got to be good. It's an aura, cost 3, enchant creature. As Magic Word enters the battlefield, choose a word. Oh god. Whisper the chosen word and tap enchanted creature. Why? Why? You know what really sucks is omelette du fromage is actually 3 words. If you didn't get that reference, then you're dead to me. Next up, we got Oddly Even. Thanks for the garbage picture, whoever uploaded this. It's a 5-cost sorcery. It's got some squirrels on it, which is awesome. Choose 1. Destroy each creature with an odd number of words in its name. Oh, that's a productive use of time. Hyphenated words are 1 word. No, they aren't. Lies. Anyway, destroy each creature with an even number of words in its name. This includes you. So it's a not working, impossible to plan, game stalling, waste of time board wipe that doesn't remove everything on the battlefield. That's just stupid. This card is just utterly dumb. And you'd have to sit there and count before you ever put it on the stack, I guess. So, like, they'd know what you're doing, and it's just, don't play this card. Next up, Old Guard. I love this artwork. It's so creepy. It's a 2/1 for 2. It's a cyborg soldier. You pay 1 white, tap it, and tap target creature without reminder text. Reminder text is still any italicized text in parentheses that explains the rules you already know. FYI, most of the cards in the set do not have reminder text, so yeah, you get a pretty good effect out of this. Plus, it's a 2/1 for 2, so yeah, why not? Throw it in. Next up, Overt Operative, which is the opposite of Covert. It means they're very out in the open, apparently. Not sure what's going on there. Are those origami cranes? This is just weird. It's a 2/3 for 4 with Menace. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, it assembles a contraption. Oh my gosh, that's good. Recurring triggers that can repetitively assemble a contraption, they are awesome. And plus this has Menace, so yeah, absolutely run this. Next up, paintniak, of course. It's a Brainiac, by the way, and it's a 0/3 for 3, which is very typical red, not. At the beginning of your upkeep, roll a 6-sided die. Paintniak gets +X attack until end of turn, where X is the result. Of course. Now, it is at the beginning of your upkeep, so you can't really ambush people, but the fact that some of the time this would be 1, 2, or 3, I don't like it. I mean, it could be higher, and like I said, on die rolls, average long term, it would be 3.5, so 3.5 and 3 toughness is like not that bad for 3, but I don't like unpredictability and stuff. But I guess if they have like a 0/5 blocker, every time you roll 6, you could finally swing. So I don't know. Next up, Riveting Rigger. When it enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice another artifact. If you do, put 2/1/1 counters on Riveting Rigger, and it assembles a contraption. That sounds really familiar. Isn't that what that last one did? Well, this one's not flying, but still, it's pretty good. I mean, it would be a 4/4 for 3, and you could ditch something you don't really need. So, assuming you have a sufficient number of throwaway artifacts, I would absolutely do this. And you could get rid of a contraption if it's like 3 turns away or if it's not working out. Next up, Sneak Dispatcher, 1 for 2. I thought I already covered this card. I don't know, maybe not. Pay 3, look at the top card of target player's library, so yours or theirs. If it has an Agents of Sneak watermark, you may reveal it and put it into your hand, even if it's their card. That's awesome. I love Sneak. Otherwise, put it on the top or bottom of its owner's library. So if it's too powerful and it's them, put it on the bottom. If it's, you know, a land or something they don't need, leave it on the top. Or if it's an Agents of Sneak card, grab it. And then if you're playing mostly Sneak, then you could target yourself and then get a bad card out of the way or get a free card or leave a powerful card on the top. So that's like 6 options. Sure, I'd play this card. Plus it's a 2 damage for 2 blue creature. Those are always good. Next up, Socketed Sprocketer. Once again, I love this artwork. It says, it's a 1/1 for 1, and it says tap uninstall all results, no idea what that means, from Socketed Sprocketer, then roll a 6-sided die, install the result on Socketed Sprocketer. Put the die on this card. What? Now we can equip dice to cards, which is exactly what people do all the time without realizing it. This is actually pretty funny. You may uninstall a result from Socketed Sprocketer to use it for a die you rolled. Oh, interesting. Uninstall a 6 from Socketed Sprocketer and draw a card. Now see, I'd leave the 6 there for a die roll, but then again, if you really need a card or you're top decking or something, this is just good. I mean, especially for 1, this is really good to get out early game or even late game. I mean, it's just a dang good card. Next up, Spell Suck, which I'm surprised I didn't put in an actual set. Counter target spell, then assemble a contraption. That's awesome. I love it. A lot of 4-cost counter spells in the history of the game have been like counter a spell and do something to double down on the fact that I'm probably already winning. Or it's like, hey, I set you back a little bit. Oh, by the way, I set myself forward. Haha, eat it. If you're playing blue, play it. Next up, we got Spy Eye, which is a robot that spies on pigeons, apparently. By the way, don't leave your windows open if your area's got pigeons. It's a flying 1/3 for 4, so I already don't like it, but when it deals combat damage to a player, you may draw a card from that player's library. That's dumb because you probably don't have the mana to cast it. So I mean, for 1 in the air and it costs 4 and it's double blue, I don't like anything about this. Next up, we've got a little bit of a parody of the original 5, Staff of the Letter Magus. Oh boy. As Staff of the Letter Magus enters the battlefield, choose a consonant other than N, R, S, or T. I would choose L, by the way. Whenever a player casts a spell, you gain 1 life for each time the chosen letter appears in that spell's name. Oh boy, both players. That's not how the Magus staffs work, I didn't think, unless I'm thinking of the charms or whatever. So, yeah, that's pretty awesome. But yeah, L would be the most likely to recur letter as far as I know. I didn't actually look at every letter on every card in this particular set, but in the English language, the next most common one is L. Next up, Steadyhanded Monk. Oh, that looks dangerous. It's a 1/1 for 3 with Death Touch, and when it enters the battlefield, assemble a contraption. So, it's not bad. I mean, it's a nice little speed bump to slow down the game, I guess, if they're going to swing with something huge. So, I'd probably play it. Next up, Steam Flogger Temp. Oh boy, everybody loves Temps. It's a 2/1 for 2, and it's a rigor, so if you pay 6 and tap it, it assembles a contraption. That's not bad, I guess. I mean, it's not sorcery speed, so you could do it during the end step if you had 6 mana left. I mean, 6 is a little steep, but if it costs 3, you would just dominate the game, so, yeah, I'd probably put it in. I mean, it's still, even if you ignore the ability, it's a 2/1 for 2, so it's not that bad. Next up, Steam Floggery. It's an instant that costs 6, roll a 6-sided die, assemble a number of contraptions equal to the result. Ooh, I could have sworn we've seen a card just like this before. It was either blue or white, though, I think. But yeah, this could just, like, turn the entire tide of the game. I mean, some of these contraptions are totally out-of-control bonkers, and you could start with an empty board state and within 3 turns just be winning the game. So, I don't like 6 cost, especially in limited. It's hard to get to. It's basically a boat anchor in your opening hand. But it's so powerful, I would probably put it in. Next up, Grandma's doing some Mission Impossible crap because we got Subcontract. A person outside the game looks at target opponent's hand and chooses a non-land card from it. That player discards it. Let's just go right to the flavor text. Martha was in and out in exactly 2 minutes. 30 seconds to administer the poison, plus a minute and a half to properly refold the napkins. Go Martha. I think Phoebe's like the dummy leader of Sneak and the actual leader is Martha, because that sounds pretty baller. So this is quite literally better than Thoughtseize, so yeah, play it. Next up we've got Success! This is a bit odd. Target creature gains +2/+2 until end of turn. If it's a host or has augment, it gains lifelink until end of turn. That's pretty good. I mean, for real. That's like ambush. Remember, ambush is removal. Oh, and also remember, life gain is life gain. So yeah, play this card. Next up, Teacher's Pet. Ooh, I like this artwork. This is pretty wild. It's a 2/1 for 2. You can pay 3, sacrifice Teacher's Pet, and search your library for a card with augment. Combine it with target host you control, then shuffle your library. So you don't have to pay the augment cost. That is insane. And while this is on the field before you're, prepped and ready with a good host creature, it's still a 2/1 for 2. So this is an amazing card. Next is Timeout. Ooh, I like this. Cost 5 though. Roll a 6-sided die, put target non-land permanent into its owner's library just beneath the top X cards of that library where X is the result. I've seen cards like this in Standard. They never really took off. I mean, it's kind of neat because they aren't getting it back anytime soon, but, whatever. Like, chances are if it goes deep enough, they're going to have to shuffle anyway by the time it comes up and then it's gone. Still, removal's removal, and it's any non-land permanent, so I'd probably end up putting it in. And finally, the last card, Wrench Rigger. It's a 1-cost Rigger. When it enters battlefield, it assembles a contraption. It's a 1/1 for 1. Absolute perfection. This is exactly what you want in pretty much any deck that runs red. A dummy creature that you can forget about after it comes out and chump block whatever, or some added damage if they have an empty board state, or just if you want a flood swing. And then also you get a contraption. I mean, the value of this card is insane, and it's a common, so... yeah, I think Goblins with the dice and the contraption rigging. So probably Christmas colors. I don't care what stupid Guild or Shard of Alara that's called. That'll probably be the dominant deck, I would think. I mean, white doesn't look very good. Blue looks okay. Black doesn't look good at all. I just think those are the most powerful colors. So I'd be kind of going into a draft thinking that, but it's supposed to be based on what you open in the first couple packs, so... I should say what you get past in the first couple packs and open. So have a great Thanksgiving, everybody, if you live in America. Otherwise, go eat a whole bunch of food for no reason if you don't. And I will see you guys next video.